Defenders, Season 1, Episode 7, Fish in the Jailhouse. Now, we've already reviewed the first 6 episodes. Spoilers be warned, if you have not seen the show yet, we do get in depth and we talk a lot, so make sure you check it out. If you haven't seen our reviews, check those out as well. Now, getting into this episode, I thought it was really interesting just dealing with the ramifications of Stick's death, how the team has to handle that, how the team has to handle with Danny being taken by the hand. There's a lot of differently dramatic and conflicting moments that are going on just to start the episode, and I thought it was really interesting the way they took it.
Yeah, I mean, you start to see the other 3 members of the team starting to have to form their own plan because Stick was trying to tell them things before, and now Danny's gone, so it's just them 3. They know they have to kind of go to save Danny, but like I think Jessica said, they're all going to be waiting for us there, so how are we going to do that? So
right, and
it's just them figuring that out.
And also they're in jail right now too, and because they're suspects with what just happened because they've got a dead body with Stick there. So I mean, it's interesting. Like, how are they going to get out of that? And then Matt, trying to play the lawyer there, and then Misty saying, "Cut the shit.
You're a suspect too, buddy."
Yeah, there were some interesting exchanges. He's like, "Well, do you want me to describe what I heard?" Like, I thought that there was a lot of funny exchanges and very interesting exchanges. And again, this is where I thought the sharp writing of the show comes in handy, where you see a lot of good dialogue going around from these characters. So there's a lot of, like I said, interesting exchanges and interactions going on, especially between Matt Murdock and Misty Knight. I liked a lot of their interactions together.
And sometimes too, I kind of felt like, well, if they just told them what was going on, then it's like, yo, we have to go. You guys can't really do anything. But I just felt like they had to keep the hand a secret too much.
Well, they kind of did, but that one cop, the captain, said, "I don't care if they're vigilantes. Since when do they get to take the law into their own hands?" So I mean, he's kind of got a little bit of an ego thing, and he's really into the law, which I understand. But they kind of did touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing that personally drove me crazy, if it didn't drive you crazy, that's fine. But for me personally, some of the camera and the cinematography, because up to this point, for the most part, I thought the cinematography in the show, for the most part, is pretty good. There are a few shots.
It's been great. I mean, it's been really good, I think.
And some really interesting artistic choices, too, and some Dutch shots, some when they're in locker, whatever it may be. There are definitely some really cool, interesting shots with the fight choreography as well. But in a lot of the scenes in this particular episode, when they're standing around just talking, giving interesting dialogue, a lot of shaky cam, and artistically, I get why they do it. They want you to feel a part of the action, like you're almost a POV shot, like you're there talking with them. Me personally, it just really turns me off, and I don't like it in scenes where they're just talking. In action sequences, when they're moving a little bit and the camera needs to move, it doesn't bother me as much because I do want to feel part of the action in an action sequence. When we're just sitting and talking, me personally, I prefer crane shots and standstill shots. That's me, and not so many. There was a lot of close-up shots in this episode. I really noticed. So I don't know exactly what happened with the cinematography in this particular episode, but I was not the biggest fan of it, me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me as much, but I get what you're saying. A lot of times, like, if they're just having a conversation, like, it's not an action moment, then it's too shaky, then, yeah, it gets a little annoying, but...
I gotta say, too, my favorite scene probably in this episode was the exchange between Matt and Foggy. Like, just seeing, like, how Foggy realizes there's nothing he can do to talk him out of this, and I think he does understand the grave level of danger that they're in, because... as much as Matt does risk things, like, this is beyond risking. Like, he's at the damn police station as a suspect, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
So he knows that the situation is beyond dire. And right when he brought him the exchange of clothes, I'm sure most of you probably knew too, but I knew immediately, I'm sure you did too, I knew immediately that was the Daredevil costume. And I like that growth in Foggy, like saying, you know what, I know I can't stop you, and I know the situation requires your help. And he says, you know what, instead of fighting you and saying to stop, I'm going to give it to you. And also, it gives an ultimate payoff in what happens later on down the line where Foggy feels some guilt towards himself. So I just thought it was a very great scene and a very interesting interaction between those two characters. And it also showed a lot of growth and human depth with Foggy as well as Matt, just in their relationship. And I really got to say, I love the humor in that moment when they're on the subway. They're just waiting and waiting to get there.
They got to get there somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
And then at the end, when they finally do get to where they're going on the train, they go up and they, have that big fight in the building. And then it's kind of cool seeing the 3-on-3 matchup versus the 3 defenders and then the 3 members left of the hand. And then also, Elektra is down below with Danny trying to get him to be the Iron Fist. So you see them start to fight a little bit too. And it's just, you know, a lot of action leading into the end of the episode, kind of getting us hyped for the finale. But
yeah, and what I loved about it is the action here dictated a lot of what's going on in the story, which just makes it more interesting action. And what I loved about it also was the fight choreography was really on point here. You could really see clearly what was going on. I liked a lot of the fights. I liked how Colleen came in there to kind of save the day a little bit at the end. That was really cool. And then also, again, that how the way Elektra is just taunting Danny Rand, talking about killing the the elders and the members of Kunlun, because that's Danny's job, was to protect them. So that's really getting into his head, because she needs him to hone his chi and get the Iron Fist glowing so he can open up the door. So I thought that was really, again, interesting and just really conflicting for Danny, seeing like him lose his control. I just, again, at any moment I was expecting him to turn into the Hulk.
Overall, I thought it was pretty solid episode. Just still kind of gearing up more towards the end and just seeing things kind of coming to a point. But I liked it.
Would have been a better episode with Sigourney Weaver.
Potentially.
Yeah, but just adding to Jason's point, I did think it was a really pretty solid episode. Like I said, the action, I liked how it dictated a lot of the story. There were some interesting conflicting moments going on. I liked how Elektra, like I said, was taunting Danny Rand. That was interesting. And I like seeing also how they escaped out of jail there with Luke just rammed through the thing. Yeah. So that was pretty cool and interesting. But yeah, pretty good episode for the most part.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let us know what you thought about it in the comments section, and if you like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.